Carson. This is my biographical speech on David Goggins. My two audience members are my sister Jordan and my brother-in-law Zach. Have you ever wanted to do something that's never been done before? In 2013, David Goggins did just that when he set the world record for pull-ups in a single 24-hour period with 4,030 repetitions. I've looked up to David Goggins for a while, and now I've completed some research that I'd like to share about his life with you. I'll be going over the early life, hardships, career, and finally his achievements that he's achieved during his career. He was born February 17, 1975 in Buffalo, New York. His father was a skate rink owner where his mother and older brother worked. At age 6 is when he started working in the skating rink, and this led to him being neglected in school because he would have to stay up late nights and work at the skating rink. According to a book review by Life Club, he would have to watch as his mother and brother were beaten constantly, and he could only sit and watch because he was so young. He even was neglected with not having care at home by his father, and when his mother took him to the hospital for an ear infection, upon returning, she was beaten by his father, and he could only sit and watch. Eventually they would leave when he was 8 years old and move to Indiana, but without his brother because he wanted to stay with his father. Even after leaving his father, he continued to face challenges as he grew up. He developed a stuttering problem because of the abuse he suffered from his father, and this led to trauma such as him losing hair at a very young age, and his skin would become patchy, it would become discolored. Living in Brazil, Indiana, he was one of only a few black people in his classrooms, and he faced racism on a daily basis. And because without his father, his mother struggled financially, and she'd have to work up to 3 jobs at a time. On NBC's Today Show, David Goggins says, "When you're getting beat from your dad on a daily basis and you don't know why, your self-doubt builds up." This is when many of his psychological issues started to develop, and he could not focus in school, and this is where he learned that he did not want to have a future in education. Instead, he wanted to join the military and focused on the Air Force. But because he struggled so much in school, he struggled to pass the Air Force exam and would fail it twice before he was entered into the Air Force training. Next, he needed to learn how to swim to complete Air Force training. Being black and in a landlocked state of Indiana, he never learned how to swim. So after he did this, he would pass training pretty successfully until sickle cell anemia forced him to sit out for a while. Doctors went over this and asked him to sit out for a week, and this is where he could not face his fear any longer and he decided to quit here. After this, in 1999, he was working as an exterminator, and he was weighing nearly 300 pounds. This is where he decided that he wanted to change his life for the better and not be stuck at some dead-end job for the rest of his life. So he's quoted as saying in that same NBC interview, he came home one night and they were talking about Navy SEALs. What he was talking about is they were going through something called Hell Week, which is 1 week where they barely get any sleep and they have to go through a lot of swimming and just painful struggles throughout the whole week. He saw this and he decided that to change his life, he wanted to go through that same thing to prove to himself that he could face whatever he wanted and get through it. But being 300 pounds, he could not enlist into the military, so he needed to lose 106 pounds in the next 3 months to be able to enlist. He would train for 10 hours a day waking up at 4:30, and this was his life for the next 3 months. He would lose 25 pounds in weeks, in just 2 weeks, and he added 4 miles of running by the end of his 3 months. After proving that he could undergo these physical and mental changes, he knew that nothing could now stop David Goggins. He had to go through Hell Week 3 times after he was entered into the military because he was stopped twice. But he soon embraced this, and he said he loved Hell Week by the end of it. Eventually, he would become a Navy SEAL just like he wanted, and in 2005, he started running ultra marathons, which are long runs that would last tens to hundreds of miles through excruciatingly tough terrain. He knew he wanted to run to raise money for Navy SEALs that were killed in Afghanistan. He said he knew this because it was 10 of the hardest things, or one of 10 hardest things to do in the world. So he decided that he would run the Badwater 135, which was 135-mile ultramarathon run. He wanted to run in July in Death Valley, the hottest time of the year and one of the hottest places of the year in the country. He started by running 100 miles in San Diego, and he suffered kidney failure and broken feet during this time. He would complete the race in 19 hours though, and would soon run 2 more marathons before he competed in the Badwater 5 and the Badwater 135, which he completed, finishing 5th. He continues to raise money for the children of those killed in combat, and is still a motivational speaker today. Now that I've described David's childhood to you, his setbacks, and his achievements, I'd like to thank you for attending. He was not always this successful, but through self-motivation, he proved to himself and to anyone that he